Hey, hey, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I don't even know what we're going to talk about today. We're just hanging out. We do some question and response, see what we have a response for. Do we ever really know what we're going to talk about? No, we don't ever really know. Welcome, welcome. Hi. It's a rainy day here in the desert, which is a rare occurrence. Hey, Lael. Good to see you. Good morning or afternoon, wherever you are. I'm wearing it was an Instagram ad purchase. It's a bodysuit though.
Hello.
Hello.
Hold on, I think my screen's a little blurry. Hold on. Fix that. There we go. Good morning, everybody.
There you go. You can like people's comments now. That's cool.
Yeah, you can do a whole bunch of stuff.
All of the stuff.
Good morning, Courtney. Good morning, Sadie. What are we talking about today? What do you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, what are we chat about, fam?
This is our fun space, safe space when we just feel like responding and talking with each other.
Yeah. Externalizing.
Our Generate Intensive began yesterday. The first call isn't until Thursday. What's today? Tuesday? Is today Tuesday?
What is time anymore, really?
No idea.
What is it?
Yeah, everybody got access to all of their bonuses in our Signal group yesterday. And so if anybody is a yes to joining us, we still have some spots open in both Sacral and Emotional Authority. So you're welcome to join us.
Yep.
Morning, Sammy.
Yeah, the sacral one starts on Thursday, so you'll want to hop in before Thursday if you're sacral, and then emotionals don't start till Monday. So you still have some time if you're riding your wave and you're emotional.
Yep. It's really been cool to see people's authority. And you were talking about this yesterday, Teresa, how emotional, like we've had somebody who signed up and wasn't sure, but it's like trusting the process and their authority. And then they're like, I think I'm a no. And it's like, cool. Like, you know, it's just like, this is where you can see people are already learning about their authority, even through the process of signing up. So that's been really cool.
Yeah, I'm just all for empowering people to do what's correct for them. And I've made that decision so many times as an emotional, like too quickly when I get really excited about something and I'm like, yeah. And then something else happens in my life, you know, something comes up and I'm like, oh shit, I shouldn't have spent that money, or I'm not gonna have the time for this now, you know. And if I would have just waited a little bit longer, that would have all panned out and I would have been aware of that. But, you know, we all have to learn. And I think making decisions like that really stick with you, because then you do learn, you know?
Yeah. And I'm learning more I learn about the emotional authority every day. I mean, with all the emotionals in my life. And my husband were at REI this weekend, and he was like, ooh, shoes, because the back part of his shoe is like peeling off. And so for me, I would be like, ooh, shoes, buy one, good, go, you know? And before, I guess I realized how much I would be like, yeah, just get a pair today, like right now. And he was going through and trying them on, and I don't know, and I'll think about it, and I'll, you know, just this very slow process, even with just buying shoes. So it was and I just was like watching it. I'm like, normally I'd be like, well, pick a pair. Which one are you gonna get? You know, pick one today. You need shoes now. And even though he's like, I need shoes now, he's still like, I'm gonna wait. I don't know if I want to get the same ones or get the Arc'teryx ones or the Hoka ones and blah blah blah. And it's kind of a commitment of of shoe money because he buys like one pair of shoes and wears them out every year. So he spends a good deal on one pair. So it's like an investment. But for him, the process is so much different than me. I'm just like, yep, those good.
Yep. His process sounds just like mine.
Yeah. And just honoring that all the time with everything, you know?
Oh my God, it took me like 20 minutes to pick out a nail polish color the other day. It's like, I don't know what mood I'm going to be in. I'm committed to this for the next week.
That's funny. When I painted my nails like 2 times ago or whatever, I was like, Andy, what color should I do? And he's looking and he's like, and I'm like, he's like, well, what about this? And what about this? And going through, and usually I just like sacral through. And then I don't judge myself. I'm like, well, it looks like we're going to put this color on. I have no idea why.
You know? That's a good question, Whale.
Whale is asking, in general, what if there's a sacral yes for a sacral authority and the funds are not available? I've dealt with this a lot.
Let's talk about it, Moneyline.
I deal with this all the time. I've dealt with this on all the different levels of money, whether it's a little bit of money or hundreds of thousands of dollars. And even before I knew about human design, I would follow that, and everybody would just think I'm crazy, you know, for like, why did you say yes to that? How is that going to happen? And I'm like, I have no idea. I'm also hope motivation, and probability view, so that kind of swoops in, and like that's like a part of my substructure. So it's like, I don't know, it's just always there, always present. I don't think about the probability of things. I don't think that I'm hoping. It's just like, let's do this. So for me, I trust that when I'm following my authority or saying yes to something, that it will show up, like to a degree that is insane. So like when we built Inner Space, that was a $500,000 construction project just for the inside of the building. And I said yes to doing it, and signing. A contractor actually even said yes to me and signing on it before I had proof of funds, because I was such a yes to doing the project that I was like, this is a yes. And he was like, I don't know why, but I'm a yes to signing you. I've never signed a client this large without proof of funds from the bank. And I was like, let's go. It's going to happen. It'll be fine. Like, I just knew the feeling in my body and how I was being pulled to it, that if I just kept moving forward, that I don't know how it would show up. But like, and it doesn't even have to be like dollar bills money. Like, it could be looking at my son's car seat, because I was a car seat freak. He was in a car seat till he was like 8.5. But I would just like look at it and respond like, he needs a new car seat. And then I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for a new car seat. You know, I didn't take the action to go buy one. It was just like this response. I was feeling a response. He needs a new car seat. Okay, yes. I'm just feeling that and allowing myself to be a yes to getting him a new car seat. And I'm not going to think about how I'm going to pay for it. Because car seats can get expensive, like $300, especially good ones when you have big kids and stuff. And then literally I was driving one day down a road, and there was like a brand new Recaro car seat on the fucking side of the road, like somebody was getting rid of it. And I was like, is it? And I got out of my car and I just looked around. I was like, and I'm like looking like for somebody to being like, is this real? Is this, you know? And it was like, it's real, and it wasn't expired or anything. It's like, around here where I live, people are just nice all the time, and we do that. We just set stuff out on the curb that we don't need, and it's in great condition. And then he had a brand new car seat. So it's just about surrendering and trusting when you are a yes to something, and then also understanding if your body is a yes to the thing, or if your mind is a yes to the thing. If you're like, yes, I want to do that thing. Like when Teresa and I were going to take Living Your Design guide training with a lock, I felt like a yes, but I think my mind, I was a yes to taking it, and my mind was a yes to taking it with a lock. But it was a lot of money. And I just didn't have the energy for it. So really paying attention to if if you have a response, if you have the energy for the thing, if it's truly a yes, and then understanding that layer of support that comes in when you surrender and trust your authority. I just like went on a tangent, but
I love it. 6-line tangent. I could feel your like, I was just reading about the channel of struggle this morning, which we both have, and I could like feel that coming through because it says specifically, you know, you'll give up your security in order to go towards your purpose. And with your business, that's really like you put your house on the lean, you know, you're like, I'm willing to give up my security for this dream because I have a sacral yes to it. I have a response for it. And I might be buying the building very soon now.
Things are lining up to where like I only hoped I could, and then like things are lining up, and all of a sudden, like, mind you, I do not have the money to buy the building, like to pay for it right now. My current loan status with the bank for my business is considered high risk because I'm an in-person, my business is an in-person event space. So SBA flagged all of the loans like that, considering them high risk for COVID. So I was like opted out of being able to buy the building because my banker's like, because of that flag, you know, you're current on all your payments, you've paid them all, blah, blah, blah. But it's just the SBA's doing. And I just remained optimistic and waited to respond and had a conversation with somebody. And one question I really like asking people is, how can we make this work? Because then I can pull at their, you know, I don't know if they're receptive or not, but I can pull at what they have, like give them some. I always speak like I'm talking to generators because I'm just assuming I'm talking to generators unless I can feel a difference in their aura. So giving them something to respond to, pulling at their receptivity, and then like all of a sudden, like stuff lined up, and my banker was like, I just need to know how much you need to borrow to buy that building, and then we'll work on the structure. And I'm like, what? How did that just happen? You know,
you're here to give us hope, Brandy.
I'm just like, how did that happen? And I'm not kidding you that this is like my entire life. These crazy little stories are my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And I just trust the craziness. Like when I say yes to something, I'm like, I don't know why I'm a yes. I'm a yes to this. Like, yes. And I don't know what's going to happen. And if I'm a no and I'm like, I can't move. Like, I don't have the energy for it. So
yeah, as generators, like moving into it.
Yes.
Like feeling like you're moving into it. Like
yes.
if you go to do something or sign up to something and
yes.
it's like, it doesn't feel like there's movement in your body to
yes.
sign up for that thing.
Yes.
That's your mind.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And it's just so cool to watch. And I think part of being able to trust the yes, even if it's like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm a yes, is trusting the no's.
Mm-hmm.
Is listening to the no's, listening to when your authority is a no, whether you're emotional or sacral, because you're a sacral being, so you're going to have a response, mm-hmm. and then it's waiting or being in the now with it. And trusting those no's is going to create space, and it's not going to tie up your energy. If you're saying yes to something that's actually no, it's like tying up your energy. And what's that doing with your aura? You know, can't bring you in the shit, can't give you external things to respond to because your energy is tied up in these things that your energy is not correct for.
Yeah. Or maybe, you know, I've had things in the past happen where just like reflecting on it, if I'm busy doing a bunch of shit that I don't have a response for, but I'm continuing to try to make it work, and then something does come into my field, maybe I would have had a response for that thing.
Yeah.
Had my energy not been tied up over here. But I'll never know because I was wasting my time doing shit that my body is like telling me to stop, and I keep doing it, you know?
Yes. And even like regarding money. So money is like an energy, you know, and interesting situation that just happened. I just like bear it all on Instagram Live, by the way, guys.
We go deep here.
Like, here's my
welcome to our lives.
Here's my life. When my husband couldn't walk in September, he couldn't walk and function for like 3 months. A friend of mine had told me that your mortgage company, hey, did you know your mortgage company might like defer your mortgage payments because my husband wasn't working? And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And I was like, I just had the energy. I called them right then. And I was like, hey, it was like this insane amount of energy that I had for that. And they were like, yeah, we can defer your payments in 3-month increments. Just let us know. So we deferred it for 3 months and then another 3 months. So 6 months total. And my husband's like, he's like freaking out in his mind. They're going to make us pay all of that at once. And I was like, no, I just have like, it feels so good. It's like, it's such a yes for this to like continue and, maximize this for 6 months. Right. And then 6 months was up and we had the option to extend it for another 3 months. And I wasn't a clear yes. My mind was like, yeah, we can save money. But my body was like, I didn't have it was like, So he called and he's like, I just want to get clarity. And I want to make sure. He's guilt motivation. So he's like making sure and fixing shit. And he calls them and they're like, actually, if you start making your payments right now, we can put the amount that you would owe from your mortgage payments during that time at the end of your loan. And just when you sell your house, you pay that back. And I was like, what? That's amazing. Like, look how that worked out. And then they're like, here's your payment. And my husband's like, that payment is $500 less than our current payment. Like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, we recalculated it and this is what it is. And so like this amazing shit happened out of me saying yes to this crazy thing of putting our mortgage on hold where we could potentially have had to pay like, $15,000 up like at one time. And then we didn't have to. And then because they put it on the end of the loan, they took off all the interest. So we didn't have to pay the interest. And our payment went down $500. And I'm like, how did that even happen? Like I could have in my mind back then been like, I would like to save $500 a month and did all of this unnecessary or extra work that wasn't correct for me to try to like save $500 a month. When in reality, I just went along to life and said yes to the things that were a yes and no to the things that were a no. And then fast forward 6 months, I'm all of a sudden saving $500 a month without using extra energy. So it's kind of crazy shit, but it's all the
bam, boom. Yeah. I mean, I think it just kind of goes back to if you are a yes for something, it's a trust fall. It's like trusting those yeses, and there's no easy way to go about it because like I have experiences like that too, where I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. And then somehow the money just like comes through. I used to be a stretch therapist. I still do it sometimes, but that was like my full-time gig for a while. And I was going to this school that had like different levels of training and it was pretty expensive. And I had done the first level and I wanted to go back and do the second level. And at the time I was like personal training as well. And we had just moved studios and I was getting all my clients figured out and I was kind of having to rebuild because we moved 30 minutes south of where we were. And so I lost some of my clients and I was just kind of struggling financially at the time, but I'm like, I'm like so excited about this next training that's coming up and I really want to do it. It was like $3,600 and I had no idea how I was going to pay for it. Well, I needed $3,600 to also take the time off work to go to the training. So I just signed up for it. I like put it on credit, which I'm not giving financial advice. That's not always the smart thing to do. But for me, that's what I got the yes to do, was just put it on credit. And then probably a few days after I signed up for it, I had this client roll through that I hadn't seen for a long time. And he was really inconsistent. Like he was like this busy businessman and super inconsistent with me. So I just never really counted on him to show up. And he was just like, hey, I know I'm really inconsistent with you, but I still want to pay you if I cancel and blah, blah, blah. Cause I know, I'm really busy. Why don't we just pay for a whole year of stretches? And I was like, wait, what? Because at that point I had never been given that much money. Like that was like really stretching me, And I'm like, all right. And guess how much it was after taxes and credit card fees? $3,600. And I know I still had to like stretch him for that whole year, but still it was like, there's the money. I mean, it's available now. So I don't know. It's like when you have stories like that and you have that internal knowing that's just like, do it. And it's almost like I was watching myself do it. right? Like I wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
my mind was telling me it was the dumbest financial decision. You don't have this money, you're going to put that on credit, you have to pay that back. But
Mm-hmm.
whatever, it came through. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
again, not financial advice, just my personal experience.
No, I think it's great to show, because we don't know. The mind will want to try to make up how it comes in, or that's not possible for me, or I'm not, and it's not like manifesting it, or you're gonna find it like $3,600 on the side of the road. It just comes in ways like you've already said yes to other things that are setting you up to on your trajectory, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
just trusting that if it's truly a yes for you, it's gonna there's gonna be something that comes of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, and it's really knowing what your yeses are, you know. It's like maybe this is a more advanced way of talking about this
Yeah.
because you have to be trusting your authority more. And that's why we say to start small with your authority. Like I wouldn't be asking somebody to trust putting $3,600 on a credit card right away. You know, that's something where it's like, no,
Yeah.
let's first talk about maybe what you're eating.
Yeah.
You know, like let's
Yeah.
practice responding to food, something very low,
Yeah.
low threshold. You know,
Yeah.
this is something you just have to be really comfortable with yourself with. So don't feel like obligated. If you're like, oh shit, should I put that thing on credit right now? Don't get all up in your head about it. These are just our stories, and
Yeah.
you'll just know that, right? There's just a knowing there.
And it's responding to the mundane things. Like I wasn't gonna brush my hair before this live until
I didn't.
until I ran my hand through the side and there was like a massive knot thing, and I was like, oh yeah, you know, something to respond to. Yeah, okay, brush my hair. You know, it's responding, and it's living in response. And we were talking about that this morning a little bit in our signal group.
Yeah. That's funny you're talking about that. I had the thought, my mind was like, you should brush your hair so you don't look like you just rolled out of bed. And then I just, fourth lining, right when I wake up, you know, I got distracted talking to people and I'm like, oh shit, it's 9 o'clock. I guess I'm not brushing my hair.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Laura, I love this conversation so much. This is exactly present in my life right now. My relationship with money has changed so much since I started saying no to no's and only following my energy. Yes, because, and this is from the emotional perspective. I know you're not emotionally defined, Laura, but from the emotional perspective, learning how to ride my wave when it comes to purchases and not just saying yes to something in a high. I have saved so much money. Like I used to, I mean, you guys, I have 39.55. We can be prone to different sort of distractions, I'll call it, perhaps addictions to avoid our emotions, and shopping used to be one of them. And and this is when I was like bartending full time and was going not just paycheck to paycheck, but like evening to evening sometimes. I'd be like, I have no money in my bank account. I need cash after my shift, which is so common in the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
But I was so dumb with my money because I was constantly just making emotional decisions. And then I have like a wardrobe of clothes that I don't like because it's like you buy the thing and then you never wear it, and or just like internet shopping. So I was talking to
undefined or open ego too.
Oh yeah, open ego. Feeling like I need to prove my worth and being like obsessed with the material plane, 100%. So it's like these little things with following your authority where you realize it's like multiple factors that are adding up. So now I have more money for the things that I'm actually a yes to because I'm not spending it on shit that I'm really a no to, you know. And I was talking to another emotional about this yesterday. We were talking about things that we do sometimes just to like give ourselves that hit of dopamine or that like rush. I'm like, oh, I'll go online shopping and add everything to my cart and then just be like, all right, I'll decide tomorrow if I want that. And then I never really come back to it. Yeah. Or I'll literally go to Target and just put shit in my cart and then like put it away. Like I'll go on a whole shopping spree and then I just put it away. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes you just need that feeling of like you're buying something. I don't know. It's to me, it's the equivalent of drinking like a seltzer water instead of an alcoholic drink. If you're like trying not to.
I can't see comments or anything, so if anybody asks questions, to catch them.
Let me see. It's seen. Nope.
Nope. That's really emotionals too, to put it in your cart and wait.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I hate urgency, man. I really I cannot wait for the time when we're moving away from marketing urgency.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nothing. When I see people, it's like limited time offer, sign up now or you might lose it. It's like, that is, 50% of the population's emotional authority. What?
Yep. We are all so conditioned to like say yes to things right away. Or if you sign up now, and I know when people do this, it's like, I think it's with good intention sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't think people like intentionally do this to fuck with emotional authority. But something that peeves me is when it's like, if you sign up in the first week, you get $100 off or something like that, And I get it. It's like early bird gets the worm kind of marketing. But for me, it just adds more pressure, and it doesn't allow me to have my own process, and I feel like I'm missing out on something. And
well, and not to mention like potentially entering into something correctly. I mean, everybody, nothing's really right or wrong, good or bad.
Right. Totally.
Entering into it not correctly, and then feeling like you aren't getting the most out of whatever it was or whatever you purchased, or all that stuff. I just can't wait until we can honor the emotional process a little bit more. The more I have awareness of it, the more I witness it. I'm like, y'all, they need time. They need time, like uninterrupted time. Where they're not being poked all the time to be like, hey, make a decision.
Yeah. Cora says, I'm sacral and I still hate it. Yeah. I mean, it's just 7-centered all around. I mean, I know we're talking about emotionals, but like sometimes sacral authority, especially if you're a split definition or a triple split or a quad split, your process might take longer and you might actually resonate more with the emotional process, right? So not all sacral authorities move at the speed of light. It just really depends.
Yeah, when my split is bridged, I can tell a difference. Like I flew Teresa up here because I had to make some decisions, like kind of quickly. Like I had to have like a powwow with some of my team members, and I needed to make decisions quickly. And so I flew her up, and I was like, I need help. And literally just having her in the room, I was like, yes, no, this, that price, this. It was so much easier.
That would be a fun experiment for those of you with splits. It's probably much easier with a small split, but just to like be with somebody bridges your split and see how it feels to respond, see the difference.
Well, even when we're out to eat, when I'm around somebody, and you specifically, I'm thinking of when we've gone, it's like I know what I want. I don't have like, which
is funny because then I associate you with really quick decision making because that's the you that I'm seeing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So funny. The gating game. Find your missing gate on my gating app. Sammy. That is a great idea. There's so many like human design, like fringe ideas. And I'm like, that probably will never happen. But my gate 11 loves just pondering that.
I want to find my birthday twin. You found your birthday twin.
You guys, I don't know if she's on here right now. I know she follows me, but my birthday twin somehow came across me, like probably through the algorithm. I don't know. So this girl messages me and is like, hey, I just have to send you my chart because this is really weird. And she has the same exact chart as me, except she has gate 53 hanging. That's the only difference.
And you were born on the same day, same year.
I think like 4 hours apart. And we must have been she said Seattle. So yeah, we must have been in the same time zone too. I was just like, holy shit, we have different variables. Well, no. Yeah, she's a quad right, I think. Yeah. She was quad right. So we did have different variables. But dude, that shit was crazy. Because even a lot of the lines were all the same. So yeah, your birthday twin is out there somewhere. It's just crazy, like considering the human design, people who know about human design is such a small percentage, when you just think about the whole world. And for somebody with the same birthday that's into human design, I don't know. Well, Sammy found her twin too, 4 hours different, both quad right. That's wild.
It is wild.
I'm gonna read some comments. Lael, my situation right now, I signed up for LID that was expressing that marketing urgency with a lower price. I'm not getting anything out of it. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I forgot that like IHDS does that.
Mm-hmm.
They do like the early bird.
Well, I think maybe does Human Design Collective do that? But I think they put it out like a month in advance.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It's like $100 off LYD. But yeah, I know IHGS does it, which is interesting that
I
they.
know. Again, I don't know. Sometimes IHDS does some shit that you're like,
Well, IHDS when I took a class, I signed up, and then I said, email me if you have spots in this class that starts sooner. And then they emailed me. They're like, hey, we have a spot, and I was like, great. They're like, you're gonna have to pay the $100 difference because the early bird pricing isn't available on that other class. It's passed. And I was like, that's kind of shitty.
yeah, that is shitty. She says it wasn't collective. Thank God. I'm like, we're Human Design Collective poster children, so I'm like, you didn't get anything out of it? Like, I can't believe that. Yeah, I mean, I did my Living Your Design with Human Design America, I think.
Yeah.
It's all a blur at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah. Just seeing if I missed any comments.
Yeah, I can't see. I cannot see.
Someone says, I'm experiencing marketing urgency right now while deciding about solar. Not falling for it has allowed us to find another company that is cheaper and going to save us much more money. That is a great point. That's something that happens with anybody with their authority. You know, I have noticed it specifically with emotionals, but I feel like it happens if you're not getting a clear yes on something. Like, I feel like Brandy's had stories like that where you just wait and you wait, and then all of a sudden there's a better option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like close to the thing you want to do. Like it's like sometimes for me, what I notice, I'm like a yes to the idea that's being presented to me, or a yes to but it's not like a yes to move on it because I don't have the energy, but I'm like, and it's still like a yes. I just wait, and then there's something that comes. I'm like, there it is. You know, I'm not waiting for clarity. I'm just waiting for more information to hear a clear sacral yes or no on moving forward with something. So there's so much nuance in the responding, like in the response.
Yeah. Lael says, oh yeah, that's the one. It's interesting to see how my body feels when I don't respond correctly. Yeah. Okay. You know what was interesting for me was like, because I'm a fourth line, a lot of classes that I've taken that were not through my network, I ended up not liking. So I don't know.
Or they're like intimate in it, or like connected.
Any classes I've taken that was either like recommended through my network, or I knew somebody in my network was also going to be there, it's been a really good fit for me. But anytime I've just been like, oh, I need to do this. And that's kind of how I was with the first two foundation classes. Like, I did Human Design America and IHDS. I didn't even, to be honest, like, it was like watching paint dry going through rave ABCs with IHDS. Like, I kind of want to audit John and Amy's just to like get their version of it, because did not have my attention. Just saying.
Yeah.
All right, just being honest. Sorry, not sorry.
It was slow. Like Teresa and I right now are in somatic attachment training program, and it was slow, and it's slow, and the class is huge.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Huge.
The information's great though. I'm a yes to the information. I'm not a yes to watching it live.
I can't watch it live because there's so many, and we can't like connect. you know, I mean, there's
After,
literally,
I guess afterwards they do those breakout, but I'm like
yeah,
a no to the breakout rooms. I don't know why. Again, it's like my mind is like, you should do this. And I'm like, I have no energy for that. So
I
I'm
don't
not going
have
to question it.
on the live to then stay for the breakout room. And so if I'm
Yeah.
not live, I can't participate in the breakout room just by default because I won't know what the class is about until after I watch the recording. Then I can't be in the breakout room about it. So it's like this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The beginning. Oh man, it was hard to stay with it at the beginning. And she even said, the teacher said, like, it's really hard at the beginning. The experience. I'm all about experiential learning. And so to me, like, just like logical, it's all theory too, you know, it's just like, well, this might be the case. This might be the case in 1997. I've been to study, and you know, and it's just like, just reciting like textbook facts, and I'm just like, my eyes are glazing over. But the experiential stuff is really cool. So, you know, let's see if we have questions here. How do we as emotional projectors plan and put out programs in the right timing? I feel like I could wait and wait until the perfect timing, but also people need to be able to sign up for my classes. Well,
there's a lot there.
Yeah, there's a lot there. So I would factor in your variables. Yeah, it's like a question like that. I feel like I'd really need to see your chart, you know, because there could be so many unique individual factors going on with you, and I don't want to just blanket statement like this is how projectors should do blah blah blah, you know. So
there's such thing as waiting too long.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, is there though? Because we don't really know a concept of time.
Well, there's no concept of time, and I wouldn't say waiting too long, but like waiting. Who was talking about that? We were talking about it on Coffee Talk. Who was talking about it?
James Alexander has said stuff about like emotionals waiting too long and missing an opportunity. I don't want to butcher what he said.
Yeah.
But he has said stuff like that.
Yeah, there was something about like just wait, like you wait beyond the point. You're like waiting for like this perfect clarity, and that's never actually going.
I do think, yeah, there's almost like perfectionism sometimes can. But then also with something like, okay, I'm actually probably the worst person to ask when it comes to classes because I'm receptive and right brain, right mind. And I have tried to put out courses in the past and they did not do well because it's like me and planning. So I don't know what kind of class you're talking about specifically, if it's like coursework that you need to get out or if it's just planning like the start date of something, you know. So I would say there's a difference there. See my like wheels turning right now.
Yeah. and really this is where like looking at your own individual design helps because there's so many like factors. I'm
going to read the question again. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it. Okay. And here's the thing with projectors too, is waiting, you can be invited by life, right? So with something like putting out a class, I guess I would wonder, is it just that you don't have emotional clarity yet? If you don't have emotional clarity, you can't force that. So that's where it's hard to say, oh, the emotional is waiting too long, because that doesn't make sense to me. If I don't have clarity, I just don't have it.
Yeah.
But it's taken me time to feel what clarity feels like. And that's all been a part of my process. So I don't really think there's such a thing as waiting too long, because how else would I know? You know?
Well, oh, hey, Andy. There's an emotional projector.
Hey, better person to ask. Here I am, like trying to fumble on this.
Hold on.
Yeah. The mind always thinks we should be doing this or that. It's true. This way or that way. Zoom sessions. Okay. Like, I know it's time now. Just want to do it aligned. If you know you just said, I know it's time now. That feels, when I feel your frequency, that feels like emotional clarity to me. I know it's time now. There's some conviction in that sentence. It seems like when you're saying just want to do it aligned, that might be your mind coming in and saying, is this aligned? Is this not aligned? I don't know, you know?
We'll see. Okay.
Andy.
What's up?
Hi.
Do you want to ask that question, and then we can talk to an emotional projector about that question?
Yes, we have a guest star. Okay.
This is Andy. He's a 2-4 emotional projector, only has channel of community, so 3740, ego 2 solar plexus.
Okay, so question for you, Andy. How do we as emotional projectors plan and put out programs in the right timing? I feel like I could wait and wait until the perfect timing, but also people need to be able to sign up for my classes.
That's a great question. I mean, you do have to ride that wave, and you'll get a kind of used to feeling like when you're ready to do something, you know, but we do have a tendency to kind of procrastinate and be like, oh, is it ready now? Is it ready now? You do sometime at some point have to take action. When you're feeling like you're mostly certain, that's when you'd go ahead and do it, because you'll never be 100%.
Well, and like for you, so in a lived example would be like taking your coaching certification. It took you like years to come to clarity about what, and then like knowing, like living with this constant, like feeling like you were going to be doing something. So we have the layer of the emotional clarity, and then we have the layer of the projector that's mastering something, and then the second line who's not aware, you know, of how good they are at things. So there's all those layers. So what was it like? What was it like for you during like waiting? Like how, you know, was it that you needed more information? You needed, like, what was it like for you?
Typically for me, I do tend to need a lot of information. But then as far as that specific instance goes, I also needed to be called out. Someone else had to recognize that I had been looking at it for myself and thinking that it was something that I wanted to do. But until there were several instances of someone saying, hey, do you do this? Do you coach? And I was, you know, for the first year, I was like, no. And then I started having to look at it and be like, yeah, I do. And then for me, I had to go ahead and sign up for that class, take the class, and get that, not only the information because I'd been gathering that, but then get the training on top of it.
So recognition, huge in that, entering into, so it's almost like led into like a smoother takeoff for whatever he's going to do next. It started with recognition. So one of the things I would ask projectors when they're like, I want to do this, it's like, yeah, you have free will. You can do what, you know, put out whatever you want, but how do you want that takeoff to be? Bumpy or smooth? How do you want your ride to be? Because recognition is really the foundation of using your energy as a projector.
And second line.
And second
getting
line.
called out. She said she's also a second line.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that's really like, especially when you're a 2-4 projector, is feeling the call, feeling called out, and then the recognition.
Yeah, it definitely, it had felt like something I wanted to do for a long time, you know, and I had looked into it here and there, and it just kept coming up and kept coming up. But until I got that call out or that recognition, it didn't give me the, I don't know, the drive, I guess, to go ahead and say, yes, I'm actually going to do this. Now is the time to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the second line doesn't want to be bothered with anything.
Yeah.
Like, leave me alone.
Well, even in projectors with like changing jobs and things, like he does best if he, like when he got his job that he currently has, like not hunting for a job, but like putting his resume out there and it getting recognized.
That's a hot tip for projectors.
You know, that are still working in like corporate worlds where you need resumes and stuff. It's like going out and headhunting for yourself. It's that no one can recognize you from that. You know, putting your resume out on whatever that website is, LinkedIn, I don't know, all the ones. And then they look at it and they're like, ooh, you have some, you know, I see this in you. And it's a more smooth, it's more correct, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the corporate world, it's pretty easy to like the headhunters that are out there looking for jobs, if you send them a resume, they will go out, put it out, talk to all the people, and then come back to you and be like, this job looks really good for you. And
That's
I don't
like
do it.
perfect.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's perfect for projectors. You don't have to like hustle at all. You can just wait to be recognized and they do all the work for you.
Yep. Then all I do is go in and have to nail the interview and be like, all right, yeah, this seems like the job I want, or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I love it. I love hearing about it from like the corporate perspective too, because we talk a lot about like entrepreneurship and whatnot, but it's so cool to like see it in all facets of life in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. He's getting really good at being a projector.
Slowly.
Andy, do you feel like that's something you've had to like learn to do, is to be a projector? Like obviously projectors are projectors. You have those innate guidance abilities, all of that, but like to kind of operate as a projector, has that been something you've had to step into?
Yeah, it's been very difficult to transition into that. I was raised by, your value is your output. That's what you're worth in the world, is how much can you do in a given day. And trying to take a step back from that and learning that that's not necessarily true, and that being of service and guiding is just as much value as physically doing something. And it's been very, very difficult for me to unlearn that. It's just become such a habit, or so ingrained into me, that I just get up and do the thing, whatever it is, instead of calling in for that help and guiding someone else to do it, or teaching someone else to do the thing. I just do it myself. So that's been something I've been transitioning into, is asking for help, showing other people how to do the things, the things that I don't necessarily want to do, that need to be done, hire it out. That kind of stuff has been very hard, but it's definitely getting there.
Yes.
Or even when like he has a family of all brothers, and they're very like, they all know how to do everything, and they work together, and like one will call and be like, I need this built and I need this done, and they're just like zoom. And it was like, he would just be on and go, and I'm like, is there a way you could like explain to them how to do it? Or do you actually want to do it? Do you have the time to do it? And he was on a phone call with his dad the other day. They called about some camera security system at one of their businesses. Can you come fix this? And he's like, no, you can call the company that made it and have, and I was looking at him and I was like, that is the sexiest thing I've ever seen. Like,
yes.
You just like used your energy correctly. Like, that was hot. Instead of like, literally he would just drop everything and be like, yeah, I'll go do this and I'll go haul this. And cause he's defined ego. So he just will run on willpower. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
slow down. Yeah.
That's good shit, Andy. Snaps for you. Saying no, it's hard. I mean, saying no, especially you have such an open chart, so you have so much opportunity for conditioning, but it's like, is that a conditioned yes? Are you conditioned to respond and to act like a generator?
Okay. And that's true of all projectors, right? I mean, Ra says we're kind of here to be conditioned. That's what we do. So we've got to watch out for that and really determine if the people that we're being conditioned from and the environments that we're being conditioned from are correct for us. And that's we have to watch out for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because the projectors in my life, sometimes I feel like y'all are really taking one for the team. You're like allowing yourselves to be conditioned. Well, you have no choice, but you're being conditioned so that you can learn about conditioning and then use that wisdom about conditioning to guide us. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, have fun there in that swirly ocean of conditioning, and then come back to me with your wisdom.
Right. We are constantly conditioned, but we can step away from whatever that situation is if it's something that isn't correct.
Right.
And that's the part, right? How do we manage that? Where do we set those boundaries? How do we hold those boundaries?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Boundaries are beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that he doesn't meet a lot of resistance. I notice it's just mostly within himself. Like the external world isn't being like, oh no, you need. It's like in him that it's like going to combust, that I need to do this. It's really this interesting. It's interesting to witness.
Oh, for me, it's that willpower thing, right? Yeah. I get stuck so hard on having to do a thing that nothing else is going to stop me. Yeah. So I have to take that step back and recognize that it's a thing that don't need to do or do.
Yeah. And I'm constantly like, do you need to do that? Like, do you choose this or this? Like, that's a lot for the day. Like, he'll just power through like a workhorse sometimes. I'm like, hot damn, sit down. You're making me tired. Like, that is so open, that undefined root, undefined sacral. And I'm the one chilling, and he's also active environment. So I'm just like chilling, and he's open root, undefined sacral, just like, wow. I'm the generator. I should be doing that, right? No, I have no response for it. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. And he's like, I will. I'm fixing it. I'm finishing it.
I will do it.
Yeah, and that's where the willpower gets me too, is that I cannot leave something unfinished.
Yeah.
Like, I can't away from a project that's half done.
No, I can, and it drives him nuts. I'm like, come back to that. I lost my energy for that. He's like, you're nuts.
Because you know when enough is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he had two, like, or on Sunday, we were just super doing tons of things, and he had like 2 projects left for the day, and one was reinstalling a closet railing that got bent, and then putting plant hooks in the ceiling. And I was like, pick one. Like, they're both not that big, but it was like end of the day, and I was like, how about you talk to Alex and let her know we'll hang the hooks another time. Like, it's not a big and he'd be, normally he'd be like, oh, it's not a big deal, I can just do it real quick, drill the. And he's like, no, I already told Alex I will do the hooks at a different time, it's all good. Like, and I was like,
yeah, on the way home from the hardware store, when we bought the hooks, I told her I have this other thing I need to do, so we may not get to your thing tonight, but we'll do it Tuesday.
Yeah, and normally, rewind a couple years, or even just like 18 months, he would have just been like, we'll just do it all, and then do the dishes and make dinner and do this and this. And I'm like, shit.
And then sit down for last 15 minutes of the day being bitter about that I didn't have any time to relax.
Yeah.
Over the entire weekend. Yeah.
Oh, Andy.
Yeah. And then not sleep well because he can't fall asleep because he didn't have time by himself before bed. Like, it's spiral. And then it just,
you need that wind down time.
Yeah.
Fell Dog says, my husband and I both have open ego and so many unfinished projects. Oh God. I mean, I have a completely open ego. Thank God my husband has defined will, because like when we used to build furniture, he'd be like, I'd be super jazzed, like, yeah, let's do it. And he'd just be like, just let me do it. I think he would have the will to actually finish it, where I'm like, what's a screw?
Yeah, I really noticed my will. It's like, and I'm done. And he's like, doesn't know when his will's done. It's not even sacral. It's just like, and he goes off. And he's just like, crazy difference.
Crazy difference.
Yeah. Any other comments or things while we have an emotional projector?
Ooh, I liked this one. What about parenting a projector kid? Andy, how would you have liked to be parented? In a perfect, ideal world.
That's a tough question for me.
He wasn't really parented.
Yeah. How would I have changed that? I don't know, right? As a projector, recognition is so important. And that's not something that a lot of parents will notice. And knowing that you have a projector kid, you can provide that. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You don't have to, go over the top by any means. Just say good job once in a while, or thank you once in a while. Just some sort of recognition to them to allow them to know that whatever it is they're doing is okay. Or not. Either way. Right? I don't know.
What about
also, go ahead.
I was going to say, what about I feel like projector children, you guys are here to be aware, right? Awareness is the thing. So what about can you imagine having an adult around that would have been asking you about your awareness and to share what you're seeing? And, because I feel like a lot of projector children probably just end up not wanting to share that awareness, or not feeling comfortable and safe trusting that awareness if they don't have somebody asking them.
Sure. I think trusting that awareness is a huge thing, because we do take in so much just from all around us. The environment, I notice things that people don't see and feel things that people don't feel. And it would have been nice to have an outlet for that, or have someone, when you're saying it, believe you, have that,
Yes.
that what you're saying is actually correct for you.
Well, and so the first, how many years of your life was it just you and Jason?
I was 12.
12. So the first 12 years, his brother is also an emotional projector with 3740 and 1949. So 2 emotional projectors. And it was like basically just them two hanging out, guiding each other.
Yeah.
So how was it like being able to be a guide to your brother?
How was it? Just
like
in
growing
general?
up? Yeah, like when you guys were little. Yeah, like you were guiding your brother.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
like the parenting your brother.
Yeah. And I mean, we had fun. We did a lot of creative things. We built things constantly. We rode around the town and played in the yard. I mean, we were gone. We were never at the house. So it was, and I felt like this overwhelming sense to protect him at all times, especially later in life after that, being the 12-year-old kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was, to me, being a projector and as a guide, it felt incredible, having that other person there that was always there for you to show things to and to interact with. And it was mutual, right? He was also the same way. So we always had our things that we kind of mastered or whatever. And then we were able to share that information with each other and recognize that in each other. And we still do that today.
Yeah. 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 It's wild. It's wild how much they know. I can't remember your brother's profile. I think he's a 5'1". Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm pretty sure he's a 5'1".
Yeah.
5'1" and 2'4", the harmonic
Yeah.
match made in heaven.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. We're still constantly texting each other. Hey, what about this? And how about this? And look at this thing. Which is all the time.
That's amazing. I mean, you guys, it was all you had to lean on each other growing up. So
Yeah.
I would imagine that creates a really strong bond into adulthood.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome.
Anything else?
I think that'll be it.
I think that's all the questions we had.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Let's see. Projector kids are so different. Recognition, invitation, and support them to study a system, I'd say, being a projector with an ego projector son.
Yeah, letting them dive into what they want to dive into, and letting them like, it's okay for them to just like observe what's going on, and they might just be pulled back. Like I noticed with projector children, when they're allowed to be little projector children, they aren't always like right in the mix, they're just kind of like observing and tinkering and and they like to be guided too, because then by that they learn to guide others.
Yeah, definitely. Sammy says, now that he's gone, let's goss. I feel like all we do is gossip about our husbands on here. My husband was like walking through the house when I was talking about him. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, if you
I'm
go
always
through
talking about your personal life.
listening to all of our coffee talk, even on coffee talk, all of our lives, it's like our husbands get brought up.
Oh my God. I mean, yeah, that's just the nature. I mean, he's the one that I get conditioned by the most, or the one that I just have the most examples of because we're around each other all the time. So
yeah,
we both work from home. We're literally around each other all the time, which is great. Although it was funny, he was talking to his bandmates, keep joking that they want me to play bass in his band, and I even went and like did a cameo in their music video because their bass player got sick last minute, and they were like, well, you're a female bass player, you can come just like rock out in our music video and play bass. And I'm like, okay. And then all of his bandmates were like, all right, so when is she gonna start playing with us, because they need a new bass player too. And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And then he was on the phone with his drummer the other day and was like, I don't think my wife wants to see that much of me. Because when he goes to band practice is like the only time I have hermit time where I'm like totally by myself, or if he goes golfing or something. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm kind of loving that like evening hermit time, because if I'm alone during the day, for some reason it's not as magical. Maybe it's because like shores, I don't know, Braden said something about shores being nocturnal. I feel like my second line magic like really comes out at night when I'm alone. I'm just like, so yeah, I was like, I can't say I disagree with him. I'm kind of fine with you just
Yeah.
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 What other things we have? That was really lovely that Andy came on. People are excited.
I know. I was
about
like,
Andy coming
this
on.
is sudden, and I could feel like he's like,
Invitation.
He's like,
He
do I
needed
need
to
a
be called
hat?
out.
He's like, do I need a hat on? I'm like, your hair looks. Because he was just working.
Do I need a hat on? Oh, he's so cute.
Because like we just wake up and I don't know, we're home. So
Same.
we're home today.
Yeah. So how do I need to present myself to the outside world?
Right. All right.
Let's see.
Then usually it takes professionals a little bit to warm up, you know? So like, oh, this might be kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can concur. I mean, Brandy asked me what time we wanted to do this today, and I was like, I need like an hour to come into my body after I wake up and get that solar plexus purring, you know?
Yeah.
Feel some gas in the tank.
Yep.
Do you all sleep in your own auras? Oh, don't
Yeah.
even get us started on that. We are so passionate about that.
I have a reel on my page where I talked about it. Well, I just did a quick reel about it. That's like literally almost at 1 million views. It might even be at 1 million views right now. But you'd be so surprised how many people who know nothing about human design are also sleeping separately. And they're like here for it in the comments. And then there were some haters who removed themselves.
Okay, this is a perfect example of when a defined will has something to prove and it's correct, and also you have gate 39, so provocative. It was like her will just made people run away.
They were like trying to like, they were just like in the comments like saying some smart ass remark, and I was like, I have a response for that. Like, here's some education. Like, here's some information. And then they would reply, and I'd see their reply, and I'd go back, and they'd be gone. Like the whole comment, the whole thing. And I was like, you just took your comment off because I had something to say that proved my point and disproved you, and now you don't want it to be seen. And I'm like, whatever, get on there, say things. I don't care. I won't delete stuff. You'll delete yourself.
It'll delete itself. Really an undefined ego, and I say this with love because I'm an open ego, but an undefined ego realizing that they got in over their head and actually didn't have anything to prove.
Yeah. But all the people, there's so many people on there that are, and they explain why they sleep separately or how often, and it's so cool to see because that reel's spinning, not because of probably human design. Like you said, it's probably just because I had a good hook and people were like, hey, what's this? And watching it, and then I don't even say like you need to do this. It was just kind of funny. And people are talking about their experiences of sleeping separately, but in human design, it's like essential for me. It's essential.
You actually were the one that gave me that to respond to because you talked about it in the class that we met in Sam Zagar's class. And I was like, because up until then, I think I had only really heard that it was really important for projectors or like non-sacrals, if you have a sacral partner or whatever. And I didn't realize it was like everyone across the board, it was encouraged. And you were just talking about how much your life had changed since you started sleeping alone. And I was like, oh, like I had to ride my wave about it for a while. And at the time we also had a roommate, so we just didn't have the space to sleep alone, which like I even experimented with like sleeping on the couch one night just to see how it felt. But yeah, that's something that, I mean, I feel like that's a question that we get sometimes is like, well, I don't have the resources or the space to sleep in a separate bed. And we totally get that. When it's like I had to trust in the timing of when it was correct because so much came up for me when I started doing it. Like I'm talking, so my husband has a defined ego. I'm open. I was taking in his ego energy all night. And then I was waking up with that ego energy and just like productivity, productivity, let's go, proving. And then it was like as soon as that was taken away and I wasn't sleeping in his aura anymore, it was like a switch flipped. And it was so much came up for me to process. So yeah, it's like you kind of got to trust that if you don't have the resources or the space to do it now, eventually, yeah, just trust the timing of it. You know, it's, you can't force the timing on anything. If it's just not happening right now, that's fine, you know.
Last night it was funny because so my husband like tucks me in for bed. He like comes in my room. I'm in and he leans over, gives me a hug and kiss. And I have like a body pillow and it fell on the floor and I put it back up and I was like, oh, I like sleeping next to this body pillow because it feels like somebody's there, but there's no aura.
Yes. I'm the same way. I make like a pillow cocoon around myself. Like I just like to feel, people always ask like, oh, did you freeze? Okay, there.
Oh, you're cutting out.